Jeff Patke, Tessie Stevens,
Here.
Sparky Stuckenschneider, Debbie Todebush,
Here.
Dave Waymeyer, Betty Werner,
Here.
Gavin Woolley.
Here.
Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we have to have the approval of our minutes from May 1st. If I have no objections, can I have a first and a second, please?
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion by Gavin and a second by Betty. All in favor?
Aye.
Park report.
Park report. Today was trail day, so I spent some time outside. I thought it was going to be raining all day and was pleasantly surprised that it wasn't. And I know a lot of the seniors that were there were very happy that it wasn't, because we were taking calls most of the week on getting questions on whether it was going to be canceled or not canceled and what we were going to do. And so everything turned out well. So it was a good event. It was good to see and be a part of. So.
Good.
So you guys just stayed there at the park then at Lions Lake? There was no trail ride, so to speak?
No, we had a trail ride. Trams were out running today.
Oh,
They do not run the Riverfront Trail anymore.
No, it's not actually on the trail anymore. But,
They haven't done that for several years now.
but it is, they do get out and take a tour, and they like it. So it
Good.
was good. Good to see in action.
Well, good.
Tomorrow, June 6th, we have a full-time staff member, Jim Leakey. He's retiring after 19 years. So we'll be having some cupcakes downstairs in our park, in the admin office, lower level, starting at 2 o'clock. So if you want to come in and have a cupcake and say goodbye to Jim, that would be, I'm sure he would appreciate it. So 2 o'clock tomorrow. Friday are the Memorial Tree and Bench Committee's meeting, Friday at 3, I think, 3 or 3:30, I can't remember, one of the two. And so that'd be our second meeting. We're been a little delayed because people have been on vacation, and then opening the pool and stuff like that. But we're getting back on track now, and that should be moving along. And then wanted to let you know that I'm looking in, and we're at the very beginning stages of this, and Darren Lamb and I are just beginning to look into it because we had a request from one of the sports organizations to look into allowing sponsorship banners on athletic field fences in the park. And so we're looking at that. We're just starting to look at that. So the Soccer Association came to us and asked us to look into that. So we're just starting that process, and we'll see where it takes us. I'll keep you guys informed.
Isn't the precedent kind of set on that with the American Legion and the banners that are hung at Runsick Field now?
I guess my understanding is that we were not aware that the banners were out there all the time. We were, from what I was told, or what other people thought was going on, was that the banners were only up like during tournaments. So, like once or a couple times a year, but that they weren't permanently on the outfield fence. But I was out there recently, I guess the weekend the pool opened, and I was talking to some people out there, and that was the first thing I noticed. And we had the request prior to me going out there and seeing those. So once I got back in the office on Monday, I was like, we should talk about this. Because I didn't want to get anyone, because I was telling people that we didn't have a policy, which we don't have a policy, but I didn't think we actively had banners out there either, but we do, so.
Yeah.
So there are banners at
Yes.
Ronsick?
Yes.
That stay up all season long?
Yes,
Yes.
Apparently so.
Okay.
so, just starting that, looking into that. And then the other thing I want to make you guys aware of, I guess the earlier part of May, or towards the beginning of May, I received an email from John Berger, who is relatives of Berger Park, and he does not live in the United States, but he was coming in town for a Washington High School reunion, and he wanted to meet with me and just see how he could help out with Burger Park. And after meeting with me, myself and Darren, he mailed us a donation check for $5,000.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
And I explained to him what we're doing at Burger with the disc golf, and him and his wife actually went up there and walked around themselves, and liked what he saw. And he wanted a little more details on the plans and things like that. And we showed him a kind of a map, layout of the disc golf, and he sent us a check, and he specified he wanted to be only used for items, amenities with Burger Golf. He just didn't want it to be thrown in the general fund of the city. And so there'll be a number of things that we have to purchase yet up there, benches and signage and things like that. And so he was all for using his money for stuff like that.
Very good.
Be nice.
Very nice.
Very, very nice.
I wrote him a nice letter, and then what I understand from talking from Darren is I still need to send him an email yet, but the city will be recognizing him with him and his wife with a proclamation.
Nice.
So I have to see if he can come back in town for it. He might not be able to come back in town for it, but regardless, he'll be recognized. So,
Nice job.
and that's it for Parks Report.
Okay, communications from the audience. Don't see any. Okay, we'll go to old business, disc golf update, which is a little bit, but
Yeah, that was a little bit of that, and just slowly but surely, we've been getting things going over there. Some more of the holes were poured, I guess, a couple weeks ago, and then if you're wondering, because it came up, I think at City Council the other day, so it's going to be a disc golf, and so from the street, it looks like, especially from 100, it looks like a bunch of weeds right now. But if you get a chance to go up there, and most of the time the gates close because we're just doing work up there, but they've been mowing paths throughout the weeds to make it kind of like a fairway.
The rough.
And so most of it, or a lot of it, it has the tall fescue and weeds and things like what you see from the road. But once you get up there, there are paths through there. So there is a reason that we're doing that. So that's where we are with that. And then we had the donation check. So things are moving along at Burger Park. Sculpture approval by council. So they approved. They went with your guys' recommendations, approved the sculptures. So we'll be getting those up and out soon. The goal is to have them up, or out, I should say, before American in Bloom. And so Chad and I were looking at some of the concrete bases this week and figuring out how they'll be mounted and everything like that. So it's moving along. It's progressing. And then Dog Park is a little bit underwater, not all of it, and so it is still open. What I've been kind of keeping, I wouldn't say a close eye on it, but an eye on it. And I think at 28 feet, when the river's at 28 feet is when that lower end starts to go underwater a little bit. And so opening day of the pool, it hit 28 feet. I was trying to read from my car the river gauge down there, and it was like 28.4, I think, is what I think I saw. It was 28 something anyways. And that Monday when I came in, I could tell there was no water in the park at that time, but I could tell where the grass had been muddy, where there was water in the park. And then again this week, been 28 all week, and there is water in the park. Not a ton, but some. And so we did sandbag. Chad said what they did in the past to keep some of the nasty water out is they sandbag the culvert pipe on the other side of the street. And so water still comes in, but it's not, you don't get all the nasty, dirty silt and all that stuff, or at least not as much anyways. So that's where we are at the dog park. Amy, the lady, the kind of the dog park liaison, had reached out to me and wanted to know what could be done. And I said, well, the dog park was built in a floodplain, just like Riverfront Park is. And so until the water goes down, there's nothing I can do about it. And I told her about the sandbags and everything like that. And so I guess she was just looking for something to put out on Facebook. And so she put that out, and I think people appreciated it. So, and we are gathering prices for small dog fencing. We're still doing that. We gathered a price for a actual park sign, an entryway sign, and we should be meeting with her relatively soon. We're still waiting on some of the pricing to come back, but things are moving along there too.
Very good.
And
questions?
Yeah, that's it for old business.
A lot of mosquito spraying when the water goes down.
Pardon?
A lot of spraying for the mosquitoes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it'll probably stink and bugs will be out.
Okay, we'll move on to new business. Soccer fee recommendation.
Soccer fee recommendation, we're wrapping things up with the soccer group. There was a new, at our last meeting, there was a new development, not involving the fees, but they're getting pricing on possibly doing some maintenance work to the field, like the goal mouse and even mowing, specifically those 3 fields, aerating. And so I told Sarah, the president, that, and Darren Lamb told her the same thing, that we're willing to hear what she has to propose. And so she's out gathering quotes on soccer field maintenance and kind of getting them, I guess, maybe what they want to see. And so I would try to do my best to explain to her that, you know, there's a Parks and Rec level of soccer fields, and then there's kind of what they're wanting to do. And so that's why she's out getting quotes. And we'll see how that all turns out.
So until we get that, we're not making any recommendations yet to the council.
Well, no, that's almost like a whole separate thing, and
Right.
so that would need to be approved and everything. But I would like to get a recommendation on the fees so I can get them going through council, because we need to get the new fees going for the fall season.
Right, right.
So I have the fees here. So the game fees, so we're going from 2 different fees, like a nonprofit fee and then a general fee, down to 1 general fee. And so for the general fee, there's 2 prices. There's a price without price just for the field without lights, and then a price for the field with lights. And so the game fee without lights is $25 an hour, or game, I should say, which is an hour. And then with lights is $40. And then this would be new, so they want to be able to practice on those Lakeview fields. The practice fees, and these would be new, we've never had practice fees for those fields. $15 per practice without lights, and then $20 with lights. And then,
Is that for an hour of practice?
yes,
Okay, what was it, 15 and,
15 and 20, so 20 for a
we
practice.
losing money on that?
No, the lights we were on the lights, it's $15 an hour.
Oh, okay.
That's what's been determined, so. And then we never had this either. The lining of the field, so the initial layout, the first one of the season, is $100, and that's just direct costs of what it costs us to line the field. And then a reline, so in 2 weeks when the lines fade, or a week and a half, or whatever it is, when we have to go out and reline the field, it would be $50. And their intentions are to reline the field mostly themselves. So we're thinking, and they're hoping, that we just have to do the initial setup at the beginning of the year for each field, and then they would be able to reline them themselves. And that'll help us, staff can then concentrate on some other things too. And that'll save them a little money probably.
Okay, so questions before I ask for a recommendation?
And practices are going to run through the soccer association. We're not going to have, it's not going to be Debbie Totebush come and pay $15 for her team to practice. They would.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yeah, the president or whoever's in charge of that, they contact us and let us know the times. Yeah. Yeah, it won't be the coaches contacting us.
Okay, with no further discussion, I need a recommendation that this gets moved on to council, and a second, please.
Did somebody make it?
No, I
Oh,
need,
okay. I'll make a motion, we approve.
I'll second. So we have a motion by Gavin and a second by Tessie. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. The opening of the pool, aquatic facility, I should say.
The opening of the aquatic facility. So you have a sheet there in front of you. It's passes that have been sold and revenue that's come in. The first column, the left-hand columns, are preseason, and then the right-hand columns are the opening weekend, so May 25th through the 27th, and you can kind of see the revenue that was brought in. I was at the pool on Saturday when we opened. I got there before we opened, and then was there after we opened. I was there, I think it was about 4.5 hours that day. Just I wanted to see, how things went and make sure there was no issues and things were clean and the way they were supposed to be, and everything went well. We're selling passes out there now, which is new this year. We're taking credit cards, which is new. Concession stand, which is ran by the CAP students, that has gone over well. That went well that weekend,
Good.
and since has gone well. I checked in with them this week, and when we first opened that concession stand, it hadn't been ran in, there hadn't been anything in there in 2 weeks. It was like someone dropped the mic and walked out, and they were bringing in some equipment, and I was just afraid that they would get all that equipment in there, and then we'd have breakers popping here and there and everything else. And so far, knock on wood, everything's been going okay. I checked in with them this week. They said all the machines have been running. They've been making money.
That's good.
They said last Friday was really busy,
Oh, yeah.
and today looked like it was pretty busy out there too.
Oh, good. Good. That's good news.
Yep. And then finally, Phoenix tennis courts.
Yeah.
So they were resurfaced last year, and then we found out there were 2 dead spots. One dead spot in the upper courts, or the courts closest to the road, and then one dead spot in court 1 down by the pavilion. And so they came in and basically ripped that section out. It was almost like a fault line, and it curved across the court, at least on court 1 down by the pavilion. And so they ripped that out and then put in new, basically it looked like concrete. And then on court 1 down there, they resurfaced the whole court. So not just the area where they basically ripped out the stuff. I mean, they did the whole court, the lines, everything. And then there were some other surface spots on both sets of courts, the upper courts and the lower courts, just where the paint had flaked off or whatever, because I think it had gotten too cool too quick. They weren't expecting that. And they redid those patches too. So it looks really good. It looks like a whole new court over there. And no sooner than they were done on court 1 there by the pavilions, they finished one night, and the next night I went over there at 8 o'clock on my way into work, and I could tell someone had played there that night. You could see it was dry, it was ready, it was open, but you could tell someone had already played on the courts that night. So they were, and then that morning at 8 o'clock when I was there was someone coming in for a tennis lesson that day too. So they get used.
Yeah, they do get used.
Yeah, they do.
Okay, any questions?
Was there any of that work under warranty?
Well, we held back that work there. We're not paying for any of it. We held back money from the initial payment in the fall. I believe, I'm not 100% sure, but I believe it was like $5,000 or so. Because we knew right away, and they knew right away too, right after the work was performed, it got cold, and they could see it already. They're like, we'll have to be back out in the spring. And so we just had to wait for it to get warm enough and not be raining every day for them to finish the work. And so now we'll be making that final payment.
Good. Any other comments, questions about items that maybe we haven't talked about on the agenda?
Well, I was talking to Wayne earlier about that pavilion out there at the park, the big pavilion, but they just finished painting out there.
Oh, okay.
And I think it'd be nice if we could get some new lighting in there. The light fixtures are old, the shades are terrible shape. If we could switch them over to LEDs and maybe get some new shades put on them lights. And some of the wood up on the ceiling, the painters tell me is pretty rotten, that it should have been replaced before they painted them. But,
Well, that entails the roof.
right,
And some of those, I was, like Bob said, we were talking before the meeting. I'm surprised. I mean, I was over there this week. I admit I haven't looked at it, with a fine tooth comb, but I've been under there. I've walked around it, because we're painting it and everything right now. And I know some of those boards were replaced. I know Chad's told me that too, that when the roofing company came in, Shingle Tech, and redid the roof, they found a number of boards rotten and they replaced them. So I'll get out there, Chad and I get out there and take a look at it and see what's going on. And the lights, I do agree with Bob. Everything looks kind of nice and new now. It's painted, and it's been repaired, and some of the posts have been repaired, and the light. I mean, they do kind of stick out. So as far as I'm aware, there's not any money in the budget right now, but we'll do our best to see if we can find some. And we're in the middle of the budget process right now, so. Worst case, maybe I can budget for some for next year.
'Cause
So.
efficient lighting could, in the long run, pay for itself, could it not?
Oh yeah, I mean this building
Right.
was just finished. So
Are they still, is Ameren offering incentives?
they are again now, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, so I'll look into that.
Have the receptacles been replaced out there at any,
The what?
the electrical receptacles? Because if we're gonna look at the lights,
Oh.
I remember a few years ago trying to plug a crock pot in out there, and the receptacles weren't working, so.
Well, I don't know specifically on that one,
Okay.
that pavilion, but I know several of them around town. We've had problems with people using the receptacles for all kinds of things, and some of them now are on keys. So like if you want the lights to be on or the receptacles to be on, when you rent the pavilion, we give you the key and you turn the key, because we had people charging cell phone, all at night, and people that were there late at night doing, all kinds of stuff, from what I understand anyways. But, so a lot of our pavilions, and I'm pretty sure that's the way it is at Riverfront, and
Okay,
they're on with a key. So if you do stick your whatever radio in there, you might think that the outlet doesn't work. Well, it's got to be turned on with a key, and you have to rent that usually.
right,
So.
I know, it was a rental, so I had the keys.
Oh, you did have the key. Oh,
I
I'm sorry.
did. That's
Okay.
But,
Yeah, we'll check it out then.
I have a question. When do they do the fireworks on July 3rd?
No, July 4th.
It will be on the 4th. Okay, because we have a meeting on July 3rd, and I didn't know. if
4th of July is the 4th of July.
I understand that, Gavin. I got that, Gavin. Thank you very much.
It's not on a Monday.
I'm gonna. Anyway, so it all works for everybody to have the meeting on July 3rd.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
And
It
and
does.
speaking of that, can we talk about the August meeting? Are we not, again, as usual, not?
Oh, yeah, I saw that today. I was wondering.
Right, we normally
know what had
do
been done.
not have one during the fair, just because everybody is so busy with the fair,
Yes.
and you're gonna, you got a lot to do to get ready, you got a lot to do to take when it's over, so we would meet then, that's why, thank you, Debbie, July 3rd, not in August, and then again in September, unless there would be some sort of an emergency that you would need us to come together.
so that'll be September 4th.
Okay,
The next,
so July 3rd, and then.
Which is a Wednesday.
Right, July 3rd. And then September 4th, which is a Wednesday. Does that work?
Yes.
Okay, just want to check that. And then I guess we just have to, we don't know anything about flooding.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually,
We're
I'm
flooded.
sorry.
Yeah, I know, it's not the 4th of July and we're flooded.
There's water in the park. Yeah, so where we are, that I don't know how many of you guys follow Facebook, but I guess a couple weeks ago, before the holiday, when the water started coming up pretty good, and it's really been there ever since, we closed the park. And so I've been fine tuning that, and I think we finally got it squared away today. And I got to give a report to the council on next council meeting, because the report I gave them the other day, we weren't where we are today. So there's been an update. And so the street department was closing, and Mark Scornia, the emergency management staff member for the city, kind of helped us with these guidelines. So at 27 feet, the parking lots down there, the west one and the one for Waterworks, they start to go underwater. And so at 27 feet, they were closing Lafayette Street that kind of dead ends to the park there. And then for whatever reason, I'm not really sure why, at 28 feet, we were closing the park. And that's when the concrete barrier went up and the sign that says park closed went up. And Chief asked us to get a sign that said park closed with the ordinance on it. And so that's been up for a week and a half or 2 weeks or whatever it's been. And we still had problems with people going down there, going around the tape down there and, just using it as a park still. And so this week he asked me after the council meeting to have or get a new sign, but we were able to just put it on the existing sign where it says no trespassing. So it says park closed, no trespassing, and it has the ordinance. And he thinks with the no trespassing part, that kind of reinforces,
There were 2 bikes down there this afternoon.
it kind of reinforces the part that you're not supposed to be down there. Because I guess people were going down there and the officers were talking to them and they're like, oh, we didn't realize that pertained to us. Park closed. They didn't realize it pertained to them. And so he feels, I think with the no trespassing part of it, he feels like he can give them tickets if they need to. That said, obviously people are still going down there.
Yeah, they are.
That big river's a huge magnet.
Yes, it is. And so, I mean, it's up to them to kind of patrol and ticket them.
Enforce it.
I feel like we've done our part. The signage is there, the barricades are there, the cones are there, the ribbons, the tape's there. I don't know what more we could do. But so what I told council the other day is to make it less confusing, we got rid of the 28. And so now when it hits 27 feet, you'll see those barricades and everything go up. And hopefully it's not in the future, it's only for a day or two, not like weeks like it's been and probably gonna be for a while.
Right.
But that's the kind of, we never had from my understanding, there was never a set mark where at this level you do this, at this level you do that, and then at 27, it's closed. And so that's where we are now.
This is the first time I remember there being a park closed sign up.
Yeah, so, I mean, chief requested it, I was like, yeah, we can do it. Like, I don't know what.
Be smarter.
Yeah.
I don't, yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't know what was done in 93 or anything like that, but.
Well, that's good. I think we were at a friend's house that lives in one of those condos and looking out, all the people going around the barricade. You know what I mean? And it was like, seriously. And going like, where I don't even know, I haven't seen it in the last couple of days, the bench kind of out at the
They sit
point.
there. I know.
And the water was coming up and they're sitting there and then they're stepping out in the water and then I mean, it was like really.
Well, I mean, there's a big concern there at the flagpole area because that's a
Yeah.
big drop off
Yeah.
down to the lower parking lot.
Exactly.
So, I mean,
Exactly.
it's very inviting because like when I went by there today, I mean, the water's, it's like zero entry into a pool.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you could be walking and then you just go.
And then you just,
If it's
yep.
a little kid, they're gone. I mean,
Yep.
that current comes through there
Yeah.
pretty good, so.
The current's ripping.
Yeah, that's why we wanted to put up the barricades and everything. I mean, I really thought there was a safety issue there, so.
No, I think that's,
I think it's pretty well marked.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I think it's pretty important.
And so one of the council members had a good suggestion also is on the Facebook post, they asked if I could put park is closed for pedestrians and vehicles,
And bicycles.
And so I edited
skateboards.
that the other day and put that up, and that also helps drive home the point too, so
Okay.
that's where I'm glad you mentioned the flooding.
All right, anybody have any other questions? Okay, we have no executive session, so next meeting, July 3rd, 2019. I need a motion to adjourn in a second, please.
So be it.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion by Danny and a second by Kevin. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Can somebody
You're
send
not
out?
gonna- you don't wanna end
Find out about Sparky's daughter?
Yeah,
And
if,
you-
if
okay.
it's anything, yeah, I mean, if you don't hear anything, it's good
It's
news.
good news, that's right.
Yeah.
What's up?
Well, he was at the trail day, and then he went to play, was gonna play golf, and he let Wayne know that his daughter was in a bike accident in St. Louis.
Yeah, I just talked to him, and it was like 1 o'clock or 1:30 when I was leaving trail day, and he was going to play golf, and then no sooner than I got back, I got an email from him.
Yikes.
Yeah, so don't know.